Dr. Keith Shuey believes more medical schools need to work on recruiting students from rural communities. Dr. Shuey also says that the greater use of nurse practitioners and physician assistants could improve rural medicine. Only 25% of newly educated doctors go into primary care, and less than 5% of physicians go on to practice in rural communities. That's according to researchers at the George Washington University. Dr. Keith Shuey is one of the few primary care doctors left in rural Nebraska.
When I go to a doc meeting, especially family practice docs, and there's a lot of them sitting there with gray hair like I am, and they're going to retire at some point in time. And that's the big thing.
Dr. Shuey thinks medical schools need to focus on recruiting students from small towns. That way they can fill the shoes of rural Nebraska's aging physicians. But there is another solution: nurse practitioners and physicians' assistants.
I see the real need for more PAs and NPs in rural Nebraska.
Meet Catherine Grease. She's worked alongside Dr. Shuey for several months.
In the rural areas, there's not as much technology. I mean, we don't have ultrasound services here 24/7. If we have to make it work. But that's part of why I love the rural medicine too. It's because you don't have everything. You don't have access to everything, so you have to think on your feet.
Catherine grew up in a small town. She says the interaction with rural patients is irreplaceable.
Oh, I had a patient last week that just gave me she said thank you and said I was the greatest person ever and gave me a huge hug, and just little things like that. I don't know that you would and I saw her like at the grocery store the next day. Little things like that you wouldn't get in a bigger town.
But having close relationships with your patients does have its challenges. Dr. Shuey recalls one Christmas Eve when he was called to a fatal car accident. He had to notify his best friend that his son died.
It was not a fun deal to walk into a house and here's everything ready for Christmas with presents and tell them that your son was killed in a car accident. That was probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. But here again, I go back to that's the job I signed on for. Nobody told me I'd ever have to do that.
Working under Dr. Shuey, Catherine has quickly learned that practicing medicine in a rural town requires much more than just conducting a routine checkup.
Maybe I'm not seeing as many patients as people up in like Omaha or Lincoln would in a day, but it's kind of like being on call 24/7 because everybody here in town knows me and they know that I'm a PA, and so if they have questions, it might not be office hours, but they're still going to ask them.
An advanced rural training program is open to University of Nebraska Medical Center seniors who want to practice rural. It offers them a tuition waiver for their senior year of medical school. The program places students in rural towns like Tecumseh, where they can gain hands-on experience practicing in small communities.